Calgary Flames trade rumors are heating up as it looks as though another Flame may be on the way out, and this one shouldn't cause a lot of controversy in the fan base. With a backlog of very good defensemen in the system, could Daniil Miromanov be the odd guy out? What is our decor looking like for next year? We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. And yes, let's talk about how if Miro is next. So obviously, there's been loads of trade rumors surrounding the Calgary Flames so far this offseason, and really nothing has happened. Lately, it's been obviously a lot of Nazem Kadri and a lot of Rasmus Andersson in terms of defensemen, but it's true, the Flames do have a lot of defensemen already at the NHL level, and then also some up-and-comers as well, so there's going to be at least one odd guy out. And as we get into an article here, this one kind of, it surprised me a little, because the headline says, Calgary Flames on verge of trading defensemen due to roster limitations, and I thought, that's an interesting way to, approach the Rasmus Andersson situation. It's a weird way to phrase it, I guess. But then I actually, read it a little bit here, and it's actually Miro they're talking about. So the Calgary Flames have a problem that involves having too many players on their roster, and Daniil Miromanov could be the one who gets traded due to this. And obviously Rasmus Andersson's spot will be free by, whenever the trade deadline is next year. And there could also be other spots opening up for some of the young guys, because you expect some of the young guys, at least Zane Parekh, to be taking one of those spots that wasn't necessarily available last year. But let's continue here. So the Calgary Flames have experienced a relatively uneventful offseason so far. Joel Hanley signed a contract following becoming a UFA. Kevin Ball was also extended long-term, and despite perpetual trade speculation, Rasmus Andersson remains on the roster, at least for now. So that's 3 guys already NHL level. Zane Parekh, the Flames' first-round pick, is certain to be on the roster next season, as he cannot be sent down to the AHL without requiring waivers, and the Flames will definitely not want to risk that. That would be arguably the biggest fumble in NHL history there. So obviously there's also MacKenzie Weegar as well. Have to mention him. He just got married yesterday, actually. Congratulations to him. But with minimal roster space, Post Media's Daniel Austin names Daniil Miromanov as the odd man out. There's obviously Braden Pahal, Jake Bean as well to mention. So Daniil Miromanov, age 28, played the most games in his NHL career last season with 44, picking up 9 points and 55 blocks to go with a 17:41 average ice time. The one-year deal carries a $1.25 million cap charge. So easily tradable guy here. Obviously, the stats aren't exactly phenomenal, and anyone who watched the Flames a lot last year kind of knows, when it comes to Miro, every now and then he has a fantastic game, and he, really is involved in the offensive game as well as the defensive game, but most of the time, he leans toward being, mid to a bit of a nuisance out there on the ice. So it is interesting. Now, one thing also here, a little tweet that was attached to this part of the article, it says that Yan Kuznetsov deal converting to a one-way coincides with Jake Bean's and Daniil Miromanov's contracts expiring. So again, with Miromanov on the way out, could we see someone like Yan Kuznetsov come in? Because obviously that's how his contract is structured, as well as obviously how Beans and Miromanov's come into play as well. So teams may be interested in Miromanov's low commitment with a one-year deal. Now, this is obviously other teams that the Flames could essentially ship him out to. So Calgary might move him if he can't crack the roster, as there should be interest due to his contract and the experience he has. The Flames have also been busy dealing with some of their other prospects. Masio Phillips, the team's third-round selection, 80th overall in the 2024 draft. I thought it was this year. Wasn't it? Will play for the Green Bay Gamblers of the USHL in the 2025-26 campaign. Phillips played last season for the USNTDP and will then join the University of Minnesota in 2026-27. There must be something going on there where it's the wrong player in that first bit of that article. I apologize for that, because the second part should be Phillips. But anyway, by not committing to college immediately, Calgary has 5 years to sign him to an entry-level contract. So that is something they can put on the back burner for now while they focus on the Miromanov situation. Now, as you can tell, this wasn't necessarily the first article written about this, so I'm actually going to throw it to the original one, which more so is talking about the decor in general. It actually the headline of the article, as we'll see in a second, is more about Andersson than it is about Miromanov. So Flames depth chart, eyes on Rasmus Andersson's future, and how the Flames have a deep pool of defensemen. So anticipation of Zane Parek's NHL rookie season, speculation over Andersson's future, have people talking about Calgary's blue line as a whole. Comes from Daniel Austin of the Calgary Herald here. So I'm not going to touch on the Rasmus Andersson part of it. We know the future's uncertain. Will he get traded now? Will he get traded at the deadline? Will he sign an extension? Will he, go to free agency next year? That's, plan Z for sure. But I'm going to skip over the Andersson part. Obviously, just focus on what we're talking about here in Miro. So if we go forward a little bit, see who's a part of the decor here. So Hanley formed a nice pairing with Weegar last season, and that will likely continue, while Ball and Andersson will presumably start next year paired together, if, of course, Andersson is still on the team. That's your top four, and with Braden Pahal, Parek, and Jake Bean all available, the Flames have options too, although you have to wonder whether Miromanov will be the odd man out. And already with all the names involved there, and that's not even taking into account some of the other young guys, Miromanov, to me, definitely one of the odd men out there. You would think, maybe Jake Bean is as well. If Andersson's not there, then it does free up a spot, and you'd assume Pahal and Bean play together, and Parek would obviously be with Ball, but it is interesting. There's a lot of outcomes that can happen with the Flames decor, and who knows what will happen in training camp, in the preseason. There's just, XYZ. There's so many different things that could potentially happen here, but let's continue, because there's also the youth pushing. So Parek won't be the only young defenseman trying to break through this season, and that's one of the things most worth getting excited about as we look forward to next year. Of course, as you guys know, that's exactly how I feel. Hunter Brustevich also made his NHL debut in the final game of last season and made huge leaps forward with his game in the back half of the campaign with the AHL's Wranglers. Could he play 25 games? More? It's hard to imagine him cracking the roster out of camp, but it could be a big year for the 20-year-old. And that's something to take into account too. He's still only 20. And don't forget how good he was with the Kitchener Rangers just a couple seasons ago, almost pitting up, Parek-like numbers. So he's definitely a guy to keep your eye on too. I think a lot of people would rather have him in the lineup than certain guys, especially someone like Miromanov. And I will say as well, I honestly do really like Miromanov. I think he's a really nice guy from what I've seen, but he just isn't quite an NHL player in my eyes. More of an AHL guy, which, he's way better than I will ever be at hockey, but hey, that's just how it is. Also, there's Ilya Solovyov and Yan Kuznetsov, who will both be trying to break through too. While competition for NHL playing time is sure to be fierce, the Flames are loaded with defensive depth. So you got to take guys like that into account. Solo came up last year and was fantastic. Yan Kuznetsov is a name that a lot of people have been wanting to see more at the NHL level. So there's a lot of youth as well. So down the road now, honestly, the Flames may be deeper with defensive prospects right now than they've ever been. And that's quite the statement, but it might be true. Etienne Morin will begin making his transition to the pro game with the Wranglers this season, while highly regarded young blue liners Eric Jameson and Henry Muse are headed to the college route, and 2025 draft picks Phillips and Lender will continue their development as well. They're a few years away, but have lots of upside. So one thing I think we can just totally agree upon here is that, the decor is not a problem for the future at all. It really is our offensive depth that is lacking, that I know the Flames addressed in this most recent draft, and hopefully, they'll continue doing that moving forward, whether it's through the draft, trades, free agency, and whatever else. But overall, the decor, not something to fret about. Just to kind of go over all of it again as it stands right now. So NHLers, there's Weegar, there's Ball, there's Andersson, Hanley, Bean, Miromanov, and Pahal. And then in the system, Brustevich, Parek, who really I'd be shocked to not call him an NHLer at this point. But Brustevich, Parek, Morin, there's Grushnikov, Kuznetsov, Poirier, Solovyov, Axel Hertig, Muse, Jameson, Phillips, and Lender. So there is a lot. It is a little bit of a logjam in there, but hey, that's not a bad problem to have. You can use some of those guys who maybe will never be part of the actual, core at the NHL level, and you can use them to acquire some forwards. There's so many different ways to look at it, but it's a good problem to have, and I'm glad we have that problem. But does it mean Miromanov is on the way out? You would think that is quite likely. Now let's get into the comment of the day to wrap up this video, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from yesterday's video, of course, which was about Dustin Wolf. And just my opinion here, they said it's not a stretch mark, or it's not a stretch mark. No, we're not talking stretch marks here. I got some of those on my muffin top, but either way, let's continue. Wolf is the best goalie we have had since Kipper. We need to lock up the Wolfman long term. He has been an all-star everywhere he has played, and he will be an all-star in the NHL. Yes, it would be a huge sigh of relief if that deal gets done sooner than later, but honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if it takes a little while just to get the numbers right. But I mean, fingers crossed, it'll all work out for everyone involved. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.